Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are listening. Welcome to The Truth About Us. It's the podcast from Unstoppable Life, and I am your host, Don Crampert. So, if you are a first-time listener, I am glad that you discovered our conversation. And if you are a returning listener, welcome back to this very important conversation. So I appreciate your showing up, and it all starts right here. And this is where we have honest conversations about the internal battles and overwhelm that many men face, but rarely, and I mean rarely, want to admit or even talk about it out loud. So we uncover the quiet questions about identity, purpose, direction, and the emotions, and we explore what it really means to overcome these struggles, identify the turning points, and navigate the next chapters that shape our life, especially during the phases where we feel lost, we're not sure where to begin or even how to regain our confidence, and the old version of us, the old version of our life, just no longer quite fits. So today is the start of our new season called The Next Chapter. And the next chapter is all about having these necessary conversations. And they're all about reconnecting with ourselves, rediscovering what really matters, and then creating what's next. So let's jump on in. So I'm a very big believer in how the quality of our life is highly influenced on the quality of questions we ask. So let me know what this means to you. If we ask a casual question, what do you think is going to happen? We're going to have general or casual results. So I'm going to start each of our conversations with a very, very quality question each week. And those questions will impact our ability to start the change of living a quality life. Does that make sense? Everybody good? So here's the question. When was the last time you sat quietly with yourself? Just like that. When was the last time you sat quietly with yourself? No distractions, no phone, no television, no responsibilities demanding our attention, just you and your thoughts. See, for many men, and this really was my thing too, and this is why we're talking about it, that question is surprisingly difficult to answer. And it's not because we don't want peace. God, we all would love that, and we all want that. But it's really because somewhere along the way, we became accustomed to all the noise. We became accustomed to staying busy. We became very accustomed to solving problems and meeting expectations and taking care of everything and everyone around us. Does that sound familiar? And don't get me wrong, there is nothing wrong with responsibility, but there is a hidden danger that comes along with that. And the danger is that we can become so focused on managing life that we stop paying attention to ourselves. And I think this happens to more men than we realize. We just don't wake up one morning completely disconnected from ourselves. That doesn't happen that way. It usually happens very gradually, like one responsibility at a time, or one obligation at a time, or one sacrifice at a time, until eventually we find ourselves asking questions like we really and rarely ever ask. Like, why don't I feel fulfilled? Or why does something feel missing right now? Or even, why do I feel disconnected from my own life? I mean, I'm in charge of it. And the answer isn't always that something is wrong. Most times, the answer is so much simpler. And you know what the answer is? We've simply stopped listening to ourselves. That's it. We spend so much time reacting to life that we've lost our ability to slow down and reflect on it. I mean, we've become experts, at least I was, at reacting in silence to strangers and to ourselves. And that process of relearning how to hear yourself again, that right there is what we want to do. It's the voice we lose or we lost. And I don't believe most men lose themselves. I believe we lose touch with ourselves. And that's a big difference. The person you are is still in there. Your values, our dreams, our intuition, our desires, they're all still right here. But they often get buried beneath years and decades of noise. Noise from work, noise from family obligations, noise from expectations, noise from fear, noise from the opinions of others. And eventually, we become so focused on what everyone else needs from us that we really stop asking from ourselves and what we need for ourselves. And when that happens, my friends, life can become to feel mechanical, predictable, routine. Are you all familiar with this? Because I experienced this 100%. It's like I was checking boxes instead of living. So one of the formulas or one of the habits is to kind of mitigate this is that we stay busy. Why we stay busy all the time? One thing that I experienced and I've noticed that many men stay busy because busyness feels productive, right? It does. But sometimes busyness serves another purpose. It keeps us from asking difficult questions to ourselves like, am I happy? Am I fulfilled? Is this the life I want? What do I actually want next? Those questions can be very uncomfortable, so instead of sitting with them, we stay busy. We keep moving. We stay occupied and distracted because distraction often feels a lot safer than self-discovery. I'm laughing because it's a simple but difficult and awkward feeling, isn't it? It was for me. And the problem is that eventually the questions catch up to us anyways. And it usually comes in the form of frustration and burnout and restlessness, or even the feeling that something is really missing. And so there's a mirror moment that many of the conversations we've had on this podcast have touched on this idea. The mirror moment, right? The invisible phase, the identity crisis no one prepared us for, the quiet struggles of men. At their core, all of those conversations point back to the same thing. We need to reconnect with ourselves. We need to stop living on autopilot, friends, and we stop measuring our worth solely by what we do. And we need to start paying attention to who we are becoming. Because life changes us. The man we were 10 years ago isn't the man we are today. Trust me. The question isn't whether you've changed. The question is whether you've taken the time to get to know the person that you are becoming. See, this is why relearning how to listen to ourselves is so important. So, how do we begin? Well, not by making dramatic changes and not by blowing up our lives. We don't do it by that. And we certainly don't do it by chasing some perfect version of ourselves. We begin by creating space. Space to think, to reflect, space to listen. Like 10 quiet minutes. How about a walk without headphones? How about writing in a journal? How about having a conversation with somebody you trust? You have to create moments where we stop consuming and start paying attention because our inner voice has left. It's simply been waiting for an opportunity to be heard. So here's a few final thoughts here. If you've been feeling disconnected lately, if you've been feeling restless, if you've been wondering why something feels missing or off, in my experience, the answer isn't that you need to do more. The answer is that you need to slow down, pump the brakes long enough to hear yourself again. And not the version that exists to meet everybody else's expectations. I'm talking about the real you, the one beneath all the roles, the one beneath all the responsibilities, the one beneath all the noise. Because the next chapter of your life won't be built by listening to everyone or anyone else. It will be built by reconnecting with yourself. So thank you for joining me on this episode of The Truth About Us. If this conversation today had an impact and it resonated with you, be sure to subscribe to my Unstoppable Life Reset Letter on Substack. Each issue explores these topics more deeply through reflection and application and actions. Until next time, keep showing up, keep having honest and truthful conversations, and keep continuing to ask quality questions. It's those quality questions that will help you and me create the quality of the next chapter of our life. Because this is the truth about us.